Welcome back to Time Out with J and G. I am Jay over here, and there's no G over there today. No, he is. Fortunately for him, he's out of town for the weekend. I guess he might be celebrating his birthday, going hunting. It was his birthday on Thursday, so want to wish everybody here, Levi, a happy birthday. So today, it's just me. It's probably going to be a shorter episode. I just wanted to hit on a couple things. We had a very big performance last night, as you guys all know. It's probably why you're tuning in. But before we get into that, I have my timeout moment of the week, but it kind of goes into what we're talking about today. So I'm going to breeze past that for a second, and we're going to hit on a couple of little topics and then get into what we're all here for. So the first one is pretty breaking news. I think this was yesterday. The Dolphins are releasing corner Xavier Howard. Now, I think a lot of people pretty much saw this coming. I mean, he hasn't been very good for a little bit now, and he's making quite a bit of money now with this new contract. And I'm looking here, apparently his contract had a potential out after 2024, where they only paid him 2 years, $37 million. But his base salary for this year, the next 2 years, was going to be $15 mil, $13 mil, and then $15 mil. And that's a lot of money to pay for a corner that's on the other side of 30 and just hasn't been very good. Again, I don't know how. I'm looking here. I think because they cut him before June, they don't have to pay him as much. I'm not really sure entirely yet how the contract's working out, what they're going to pay him. They're obviously going to have to still pay him guaranteed money, right? I can't even see here guaranteed on his contract, but he will be giving him $23 million in dead cap. Now I don't know if because of when they cut him, maybe they want to pay as much, but it's right here 23 this year. About 15 next year, and then 9, and then down to 3. So that's a lot of money to pay for a guy that's, not even going to be on your team. But like I said, kind of in the intro, I think we all kind of expected him to be gone, so it's not really too much of a surprise. Also, last night, Kevin Durant passes Carmelo Anthony for 9th all-time on the scoring list, which, I think Kevin Durant, unfortunately, I think he would have been top 5, but he missed, 2? Was it 2 full seasons or just 1 full season between the Achilles, and I thought he had another injury. I know he's missed at least 1 full season. It very much could have been 2. He's the greatest scorer I've seen with my 2 eyes since I've started watching basketball. And I started watching basketball, his second year, I believe, is when I really started getting tuned into basketball. And he's the best scorer I've seen with my eyes. It makes sense. I don't know if he even has a chance to crack top 5, but I think we all can not want to say unanimous because some people just like to argue, but I think a lot of us can just agree he is one of just in general the greatest scorers of all time. And then the other thing I want to talk about from the NBA is that Jacques Vaughn was fired as the Nets head coach during the All-Star break. And, I understand, the reason they brought him in is because he's a pretty defensive-headed coach, right? But they're 21st right now in defensive rating. They're not a very good defensive team. But then again, it's they don't have a very good team, right? I think I'm kind of confused with the Brooklyn Nets, right? Because they didn't sell anything at the trade deadline. They didn't really. I guess they brought in Dennis Schroeder, right? So I guess they kind of bought, but it's they weren't good enough to really push. I don't even think they're good enough to push for the play-in, if I'm being honest with you. So they're on an 8-23 game. They're 8-23 in their past 30-31 games. So they've been struggling big time going into the All-Star break. But maybe it was the right decision. But I don't know if firing your coach at the midway point of the season is ever a really good idea. We're seeing it with the Bucks right now. They're a much better team than the Nets, and they've been struggling with Doc Rivers. Now, I expect the Bucks are going to be better after the All-Star break. You give Doc Rivers the All-Star break to kind of lock into this team, kind of really get some stuff laid out, and I think the Bucks will be better. And I don't even know I don't think they've announced a new head coach yet, other than an interim head coach. So maybe he deserved to be fired, but I thought they would at least let him ride out the rest of the season. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of a little conflicted about that. Maybe it was the right thing, just the timing was kind of weird about it. But yeah, so that's just kind of a couple things I want to. I'm sorry, not Luka. Nikola Jokic had a triple-double last night, which means he now has a triple-double against every single team he's played against. I think it's only him, LeBron, and Russell Westbrook that have done that, and he had 29 points, 15 rebounds, 14 assists. A fantastic game a fantastic game. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was last night against Portland. I'm looking at I'm looking at it wrong. I'm talking about the Wizards. It was the Wizards. He had 21, 19, and 15, and he didn't miss from the field, 10 for 10. Yeah, I mean, neither one of those teams are good, so it kind of makes sense he kind of did what he did. But like, I think I don't know if it's even much of a question at this point in time. He's the best passing big man of all time, and I think really he's just cementing himself as one of the. Listen, people aren't going to like this because I know some people are really like tied down to their history. They don't like new people doing things, but I think Jokic is going to put in a fight for the top 5 center of all time. I mean, he's a 2-time MVP. He has a ring. Statistically, he's fantastic. Like, and again, he's not even 30 yet, so it's like he could have more rings. He could have another MVP. This guy, accolade wise, even winning wise with the ring, like he is doing what you need to do. I don't know. I think I'm not saying he's a top 5 center yet. I still have like Shaq, Kareem, Hakeem. Will is kind of a shoe-in, kind of get grandfathered in. I'm not entirely sure how you see that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I think Jokic, shout out Jokic. We know how fantastic he is. There's really no much more that needs to be said about that. But the reason we're all here is because Victor Wembanyama last night against the Los Angeles Lakers, my Los Angeles Lakers, put up the first 5x5 since Nurkic did it back in the beginning of 2019. So it's been about 5 years. It's been a little bit over 5 years since there's been a 5x5, and he's the youngest player to ever put up a 5x5. And listen to this, he did it in 31 minutes. Right? I mean, this guy is exactly what you've been hoping. Like, this guy has been hyped up to be the best prospect since LeBron James for the past 2-3 years now. And I mean, are we not getting that? Right? I understand the argument people are having right now is that the Spurs suck. Yeah, the Spurs suck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with them being bad right now. They don't have a lot of, they have, I mean, obviously you have Vic, you have Devin Vassell, who, you know, somebody you could build around. Keldon Johnson's kind of on a teeter of he might be gone. You never really know what you're going to do with him. Jeremy Sohan is, I mean, he's I think he can be a decent complementary piece for you, but it's like we really don't have a point guard of our future yet, which, I mean, the Trae Young sweepstakes, if they can get Trae Young, that might push them into the play-in, maybe the playoffs next year. I think this team really is just lacking that elite point guard play, right? And I think I like Trae Jones. He's just not at that level at the moment. And I think him coming off your bench would just do you much better service. But he's averaging over 20 points, 10 rebounds. He's not even playing 30 minutes a game. He's playing about 30 minutes a game, right? Because they're not good, right? You don't if you're Popovich, you don't want to send him out there and have him just putting up stats on a losing team and wearing his body out for a season that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? There's no point in playing him 37 minutes a game if you're just going to be losing anyway. You're putting wear and tear on your young player for no reason. And this is my timeout moment of the week is Victor Wembanyama's 5x5. I think it's pretty easy. We all knew it was coming, but he put up. Let's see here. He put up. I had the stats here, and that's gonna bother me that I do not have it anymore. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Yeah, so I'm here on Basketball Reference. He had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks, only 2 turnovers. Right, and his plus minus was 0. I mean, against the Lakers, who, I mean, we aren't a very good team, but they did lose the game. It is what it is. I'm not too really worried about that if I'm the Spurs. But yeah, no, I mean, it was fantastic. Like I watched the first half of this game, then I had to go do something, and I came back towards the end of the game. This game was a very big testament of the progression we've seen of Victor Wembanyama, even during this season alone. Right. I don't know if you guys remember, to start the year, he wasn't shooting very well. He was turning the ball over quite a bit. It was kind of rough to watch. Like, you can see the potential, but it was kind of rough to watch. But even during this season alone, right, he hit 3 of 8. His 3-point shooting is getting better. He was hitting some passes, man. There were some passes being hit. Like, he had 2 or 3 where he, like, hit on the short roll. He threw a bounce pass to Trey Jones or Malachi Branham. He had the one, he got the rebound and threw an outlet pass all the way across to the opposite 3-point line for Malachi Branham, who then drove in and got, I think, an and one or a tough layup. Like, if you're getting that from him, you're looking at, and again, I'm going to say this in a way where it's going to sound like a comparison, but it's not. You're almost getting like a 7'4" Jokic if you can get him to develop his passing. Not saying he's obviously, I don't think he's going to be as good of a passer as Jokic, but if you have a guy that's 7'4", I mean, he should be seeing the court. He's taller than everybody. He should be seeing the court. And you can get him to really buy in on that, moving the ball. Oh my God, dude. I'm so excited for this team. I think it's going to be, again, I don't even know if Trae Young's going to get traded in the offseason. I don't think the Hawks are going to trade him for nothing. I don't think they're going to trade him at all, considering they didn't trade DeJounte Murray. I think they're still kind of locked into this core and what they can do. So I don't think they're getting Trae Young. But this team is going to have another high lottery pick. I'm not too familiar with this draft class. I don't know if it's a great draft class. I've been hearing that this is more of a role player draft class. Like, you're not going to get your superstar in this draft class, which for the Spurs, I mean, they have their star, right? They have Victor Wembanyama. They have Devin Vassell, who I think is a very, very good complementary piece. Again, Keldon Johnson could be, but he's making kind of a lot of money for this team. Like, I don't think he matches up with their timeline, so you could see him on the move. Maybe not. I mean, he's still a good player. Like, no doubt about it. He's still a good player. He could be there. You get Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham's young, Trey Jones. Like, they just have a lot of good young players. I think what they do in free agency is I think they need to look for a veteran point guard, right? I think they need somebody that can come in and they can run the offense, or not even like run the offense, but help get them into their sets. And I don't even know what the free agency is looking like. I'm trying to pull it up here because I don't know if there's anybody even out there that fits that requirement. Tyrese Maxey he's a restricted free agent. Paul George has a player option, but that's not really LeBron player option. Again, not going to happen. Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby player option. James Harden. From everything I'm seeing, he seems like he really enjoys it in LA. So I don't see any reason he would leave to go to a bad team like the Spurs. Like, he wants a ring. I don't think there's any reason he does it. DeMar DeRozan doesn't fit that. Tobias Harris wouldn't be bad. I mean, obviously you're not going to be paying him $40-some million. So I think if you get him from cheaper, he could be a nice guy. Drew Holiday has a player option, but again, these are kind of guys that are like, they want rings. I understand Drew Holiday does have a ring with the Bucks, but I mean, I think he still wants more. But I think that'd be a good guy for them, a good defensive point guard. Miles Bridges, no. Nicholas Claxton, no. Yeah, there's not really D'Lo, but that's not really. I don't know. He's not quite the passer I think they're looking for. He would take shots away from Victor Wembanyama. Plus, he's a player option. If he's playing good in LA, he's probably going to want to stay there. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not really any like veteran point guards I'm seeing that are like good, right? Russell Westbrook got a player option. He's not going to the Spurs. Tyus Jones is I think he would be a good starter for them. He's obviously not your starter of the future, but he's a good. I mean, he doesn't really turn the ball over much. He's a very good assist to turnover guy, and I think that's pretty much what you need running the point guard for this Spurs team. Get Vic the ball. Don't turn the ball over. I think Tyus Jones would actually be a pretty good pickup for them. Again, I don't even know what kind of money he's looking for. Same with Spencer Dinwiddie, who's I just don't think as good as Tyus Jones. But he's going to give you better defense, I think. I think Dinwiddie will give you better defense. I don't know if some of these guys, like a Tyus Jones you might be able to convince to come down. But a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie, I don't know if you're going to convince him to sign with a Spurs team that's bad. Because I just hit my mic. Sorry about that. But I don't think you're gonna convince a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie to come to a Spurs team that's bad and just kind of hope for the development over the next 3 years. So I don't know. I think a lot of it's got to be in the draft for them. I think San Antonio is still they're a pretty small market now, right? Like, if you look back at the 2000s, people wanted to come play for the Spurs with Popovich, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu. They had such a good team, right, that role players wanted to come in and play with them, but obviously they're just not. They don't have that allure right now. I mean, you still have the allure of Greg Popovich, right? So you still have maybe like somebody wants to come play for one of, if not the greatest coach of all time, and that definitely has an allure for a lot of people. But I don't think you're not going to get big time free agents coming to San Antonio, right? The last big one left. Well, I guess Kawhi wasn't a free agent, but like the last star player you had left. And I guess if you want to count DeMar DeRozan, same way with him too. But talk about Kawhi Leonard. But I think you have such a fantastic building block, right? You have Victor Wembanyama, who is 20 years old, his rookie. Listen, the Victor Wembanyama we are looking at right now is the worst version of him we will see until maybe he gets to like 38, 30. You know what I mean? Like until he maybe starts regressing on the higher end of his career. He's a rookie, right? He's played a couple years professionally in France, but this is his first year in the NBA. He's going to get stronger. Now, I guess the only thing, I'll knock on wood here a little bit, is that like you hope his body can hold up. You know, notoriously in years past, taller players, bigger players their bodies don't usually hold up too well. So I guess obviously that's the part you have to worry about. But and that's why the biggest reason, again, like I mentioned earlier, I think the Spurs are playing him on a minute restriction because there's no reason. We don't need to put wear and tear on this guy yet. We're not competing. He could be on it next year too. Kind of like if you remember the OKC Thunder did with Shea for a couple of seasons, up until really this season, last season, where it's like you get through 3/4 of the way through the season, it's like, man, we have 20 games left. We're not good. Shea has a foot injury, and I say that with quotation marks. He's out for the rest of the season. Or like, you know what I mean? Like they kind of gave him like little knick-knack injuries on the report to kind of sit him the rest of the season because there's no point of him getting hurt. And now they were able to do that and get fantastic role players around him. And now look at them. They're the 2 seed in the West, right? And I think the Spurs can be very much on that same trajectory, right? You know, you have 2, maybe 3 more years of being lottery team, and with Vic, you know, kind of resting, kind of just saving his body. And then by the time he's 24, 23, 24, I'm not saying they're going to be like the 2 seed in the West, but next thing you know, oh my God, here's the Spurs. They're in the playoffs. You know, we were seeing Victor in his playoffs for the first time. And I mean, genuinely, people need to understand what they're watching. Because I see a lot of people still on the internet, which is just it's a bad place for sports talk because a lot of people on the internet don't watch the games and they don't know what they're watching for, right? There's people still saying he's a bust, which is just like, I don't even take those people seriously because there's no way you're watching these games at all. Even if you're box score watching, there's still no way you're calling him a bust. So I don't pay those people any type of mind. There's no reason to. But a lot of people were saying he's disappointing because he's not over here averaging 30 and 15. Well, first off, you're an idiot if you thought he was going to come over here and average 30 and 15 as a rookie. It wasn't going to happen. You have to understand. These people don't know what they're watching. We've been spoiled with some like fantastic rookies in the past couple of years with guys like Luka that have just came out and been dominant from basically year 1, year 2. But 99% of NBA players take time to develop. And development is not linear. It's not 2K. It's not your rookie is a 76 overall, and then year 2 comes in, you go through your player progression, you're a 79, and then you're an 82, then you're an 85. It's not how it works. Progression, I mean, I think if you want to use 2K terms, I think he's jumped 8 or 9 overalls this year alone, right? Like people, and you have people that are like, oh, it's too high for a rookie. This guy is good. This guy is living up. Obviously, he's a rookie, so I don't want to put the tag on it, but it's like he's living up to this generational hype he was getting before the draft, right? I think there's not really much on the floor right now he's not doing well, right? And it makes me question, and I think Kevin Durant had a tweet about this. It's been a while now, maybe a couple years now, maybe not even that. I don't know. I remember seeing it a while ago that most NBA fans or most sports fans don't even like the sport, right? Most NBA fans on Twitter don't like basketball. They just want to get on there. They want to complain. They want to hate because it's the trendy thing to do. And now with Twitter, you can pay and you get paid for interaction. So people pay their little subscription to get their little blue check mark. And then they go on there and they say either blatant lies or like blatant trolls because they know they're going to get people in their comment sections that are going to like it. They're going to comment that they're stupid. And they're going to get the interactions that are going to get paid off it. So I think NBA and even NFL, and I'm sure it is in baseball and soccer too, I'm just not tuned into their Twitter spaces. the discourse is at an all-time low right now. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a post by somebody with a blue check mark just saying something that's completely idiotic. Like, you can just tell it's a bad take, it's a brain dead take. That person doesn't watch doesn't watch the sport. You go down in the comment section, and people are obviously like, "Oh, you're an idiot. You're not watching." Blah 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 blah. And then they reply. The original poster replies to it and be like, "Oh, just let me get my banger off," or "Oh, let me push my narrative." And that is the worst. That's the worst thing, man. There's narratives I believe. There's things I like. I'm not going to go out there and put a blatant lie out to troll and to get Twitter engagement. It's not worth it. You're not building a genuine community by doing that. You're building a community full of trolls. You're building a community full of people that don't watch a sport, and you're not getting anything out of it. And that's why I've always enjoyed the Enjoy Basketball brand that, Kenny does with the numbers on the board, his podcast. Like, we watch this sport because we love basketball. That's why I watch the NBA. That's why I've been trying to get into college, the WNBA, women's college. It's because we enjoy the sport. And I think, obviously, people are dumb, if I'm being honest with you. So not everyone's going to have that same way of thinking. I mean, JJ Redick just went on the First Take, and I had a whole debate about this, that, like, most people nowadays don't care or want to learn about the sport. They want the narratives, right? He had that video where he broke down Zion Williamson and got like 54,000 views. Then you go into this talk show and they're getting millions of views because they're talking about, oh my God, it's a drama here, it's a drama there. It's a shame, and I think that's what's killing the Wemby discourse, is that, like, a lot of you guys are completely missing out on a generational player and a fantastic year because you're too busy buying into the narratives online. And obviously, like, me saying this isn't going to stop you. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Don't, you know what I mean? You're going to do what you want to do. But I implore you to at least watch games, right? If you want to watch the games and then still go online and be like, oh, he sucks, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. At that point, we just know you're either trolling or you don't know what you're watching, right? But at least don't go in there and have not watched any games and just go, like, I've seen people that'll go in there and be like, yeah, Wemby sucks, he's not doing this, that, and that. And somebody will be like, are you even watching the games? And they'll reply back, no, like, I have no need to watch the games. Well, then, you can't be making judgments. If you're not watching the games, you cannot be making judgments on these players, what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. It makes no sense. But I don't know. I just kind of want to get on here and talk about, obviously, I mean, Wemby, I kind of strayed away from that, but, like, a 5x5 game, third or fourth in NBA history, it hasn't happened very many times. It's the first time in 5 years, youngest player to do it, I think in the least amount of minutes, too. Man, this guy is insane, dude. And again, listen, I was watching this game. The Lakers are by no means the pinnacle of defense. Trust me, I know. We are not, that's just not what we've really been recently. We've been good recently, but it's just not, you know what I mean? There was a couple shots, like one of the threes, there's a switch, and he ended up wide open. I mean, just completely wide open. Anthony Davis was like looking and pointing, and he hit it. Then he was hitting three. He hit a three over Anthony Davis, I believe. He was getting into the paint. He was in the post. Like, this guy, he scores from anywhere. I'd say at this point in his career, about anywhere 25 feet in towards the basket, he can score from. You know what I mean? Like, at least consistently. I'm sure he can hit some deep 3-pointers, but just not consistently. But it's like, this is a guy that the entire 3-point line in is his field, man. He can get into the post. He can get downhill. He can work under the basket from the mid-range, from the 3-point line. He can be post face up, post back down. Like, he can be anywhere. He can score from anywhere. And I was watching some of the plays, man, where I don't remember who was on him originally on the baseline, but then D'Angelo Russell came over to help and double team him, and he hit a bounce pass between their legs to somebody under in the paint, and they just went up. I think it was Sohan in the paint, went up for a layup, or maybe it was Malachi Branham. And then D'Lo and the other guy are just looking at each other like, dude, like. A lot of the times these young players, if they're such prolific scorers, kind of lack the passing vision. Or maybe they don't lack the vision, but they're like, I'm so good. Or especially like in Vic's, it's like, I'm 7'4", I can shoot over you, right? That's not been Vic. Maybe early in the season it kind of was, but at this recently, it's not been Vic, man. And that's why, like, he's been such, his vision has been so much better, right? So I double team you. Well, he's just gonna hit the open guy. He had one where this was last night when I was watching, so I don't remember some of the people off my head and who they caught where, but he had one where he was on the right wing, behind the 3-point line, and somebody was open left corner. He was from right wing, and he zipped it from right wing to left corner with the defender in his face, and the guy hit a three. I mean, that's like point guard level playmaking coming from a guy who is your 7'4" center. It's crazy, and all that does is open up his offensive game more, because it's like, now can we double team him? But maybe you're like, we'll double team him, and we'll let everybody else beat us. Maybe it's gonna work this season, but this team is gonna get good, and I think you're gonna run into your problem you run into with the Denver Nuggets, right? It's gonna be either Jokic beats us by himself, or Jokic beats us because he's getting everybody else open. I don't know, man. I think the league has a problem in this hands. You saw the video. He was working out with Jamal Crawford, and he was doing some dribble moves on there, and like, if we can get Wemby, man, Wemby's gonna be dribbling. He was dribbling in D'Lo's face tonight, and D'Lo didn't even go for the steal. And that's what the announcers were kind of saying, is that, like, in years past, man, if you're a point guard and a 7'4" dude try to dribble in front of you, oh, dude, you're getting that ball easily. They can't dribble. Not Vic, man. He's got a decent handle, but for a 7'4" dude, he's got a great handle. I don't know, man. I don't know what the league can even do. Like, oh, well, obviously the league itself is not going to do anything, but it's like, as a defender, what are you going to do? Like, right now, it's like, you take a guy like Embiid or Rudy Gobert or something like that, and you bang down low, you just be physical with him, you be tough with him. But that's not going to last much longer, I don't think. I don't think that strategy is going to last much longer. He's going to become virtually unguardable. And I just hope he doesn't fall, because the other guy that I like to compare that to is Joel Embiid. Like, that guy is unguardable. He's very strong, so it's like you can't bang with him down in the paint because he's strong, but he can score from anywhere on the court as well. And I think Vic's in that very similar mold. Now, I don't think Vic is ever going to have the weight or the strength of a guy like Joel Embiid, but if he can even have a fraction of that, it's going to be a problem for everybody else. And I just hope, for as fantastic as Joel Embiid is as a scorer, we understand he kind of sometimes tries to bait for fouls, that kind of thing. It's kind of hurt him. I hope Wemby doesn't fall into that same category, right? And I know some people are like, oh, European players don't do that. Well, you got Luka. You know what I mean? Like, I just hope he's gonna hit that superstar range, so he's gonna get the superstar calls. We know what it is. We know what it's coming. But I just hope it doesn't become disingenuous, where it's like he's not looking to score, he's just looking to get fouled like some people do, and that's where it kind of gets tough. But I mean, man, he almost had a 5x5 the night before, or like a couple nights before. So it's like the fact that he's been closed multiple times and he finally got it. He's not going to average a 5x5 by no means. But we could realistically see a guy that averages 2 steals, 3 blocks, right? And this guy, I've been seeing deep defense player of the year hype. I don't think he's getting that. But this guy is going to be an MVP, a defensive player of the year. I don't see any world where it's not happening. I really, really don't. I mean, obviously you have in next couple years, because Curry, LeBron, KD, those guys are going to be making their way out of the league. You have, Joel Embiid's on the 30 side. So how much longer do you have with him? Jokic kind of like, Wemby is 10 years younger than these guys. But then you have to look at like Luka's 24, Shea's 25, Jason Tatum's 24, 25. There's still a lot of fantastic players, but I think Wemby just has it. I don't know how to describe it, but you know it. When he has it, and Wemby has it. I don't know how else to really describe it. He just has that factor that I think he's going to be a multiple-time champion. Is he going to be a Spur for lifer? We have no way of knowing. He's a rookie. He seems like he likes the place right now, but he's a rookie, so of course you're going to like it. Yeah, but that's kind of really all I had. Like I said, Levi is out of town. I was planning on having a guest here today. We were going to play a bit of a game, but unfortunately, that kind of fell through. He had some other things that popped up last second. He had to go, which is no problem at all. So it's a little bit of a shorter episode. We didn't get our game in today because I don't want to play by myself because that's kind of boring. So I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. I know it was a little bit shorter one. This is Time Out with J&G. Again, we will see you guys on Wednesday. Levi should be back, and we're hoping to get a guest in here sometime or other because Cole was on the podcast a year or two ago. We loved having him on here. Hopefully, we can get him back. So yeah, let me know what's a good question for the comments section. Let's see. Do you think is Victor Wembanyama going to have an MVP in his career? I say yes. Let me know. Do you think Victor Wembanyama is going to have a MVP in his comment section? And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.